Good evening, ladies and gentlemen from across the province, joining us online via Facebook Live. Thank you all for attending. My name is Ian Patey, and I am the moderator for tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum. This event is the first of 4 events being held via Zoom and streamed to the public via Facebook Live. Tonight at 6:30, we are hearing from candidates from the electoral district of Conception Bay East Bell Island, and at 8:30, we will hear from the candidates from the Topsail Paradise District. Tomorrow night, we will hear from the candidates from Conception Bay South District at 6:30 and the candidates from Harbour Main District at 8:45. Each forum will be recorded and will be available to be viewed with captions after the event. Our democracy and democratic institutions are not to be taken for granted, and this right to hold free and fair elections is among our most valuable rights. This provincial election in Newfoundland and Labrador is being held during a pandemic and during winter. That can create special challenges for candidates and voters to communicate with one another, and the 3 sponsors of this event, the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, and Manuels River are very pleased to be able to provide this safe opportunity for candidates to communicate directly with the voters of these 4 districts and to help voters to get the information they need as they decide who to vote for in their district. A special thanks to each of the candidates who have agreed to participate in this special Meet the Candidates Forum. They're joining me virtually on Zoom while all of you watch on Facebook Live. Let me introduce the candidates to you in alphabetical order. We have Mr. Dave Brazel, PC Party of Newfoundland Labrador candidate and incumbent. We have Ms. Lynne Hammond, representing the Liberal Party of Newfoundland Labrador. And we have Mr. Gavin Will, candidate for the NDP of Newfoundland and Labrador. Before I explain the rules of tonight's event, I want to invite representatives of the sponsors of each event to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. I'm Margot Susie, president of the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm delighted to be part of this evening's event. Our chamber's been serving the business community in the region for nearly 40 years, and chambers play a key role in strengthening business development and providing professional development and marketing opportunities for our members, in addition to advocating on business and economic issues affecting the greater business community. Through the pandemic, our team has been front and center in connecting business owners and managers with program supports and providing advice. Our quick response has been garnered attention on the Atlantic scale by our Atlantic Chamber of Commerce, and it's clear that our collective powerful voice is a powerful message for everyone. Our membership and chamber benefits continue to grow, and if you aren't already a member, by all means reach out to Heather, our executive director, who's been working hard to make this event a success this evening. We're also proud to see the Portugal Cove St. Philip's Chamber launch its own in recent years, further testament to the power of the network, and look forward to their Meet the Candidates event later this week. So it's great to hear the perspectives of all candidates this evening. We work closely with our elected officials, and while it's not the in-person event that we would like it to be, virtual meetups have become second nature to us all, and it lets the candidates take a break from the hitting the streets door to door in masks. So thanks to those joining us and following the recording, and thanks to everyone for putting your name in the hat, and best of luck to you all.
Thank you, Margot. Janet.
Good evening. My name is Janet Rumsey, and I'm the Executive Director for Manuels River. Manuels River is a world-class nature-based tourism attraction in the town of Conception Bay South. It's a place to discover the river, the local wildlife, our beautiful trail system, and new experiences. Manuels River is staffed year-round. We are a center for discovery, so we are offering exhibits that describe the culture, geology, paleontology, and ecology of the river valley, complemented by a theater and teaching facilities. Our gift shop, cafe, and multi-purpose meeting facilities are here to make the center an important community gathering place. We offer educational public programs for all ages, as well as community events. All our events are posted on our website at manuelsriver.ca. As a registered charity, we also have membership, and we are very proud to be a co-sponsor for this candidate event as a service in our community. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Janet. Finally, as I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, I will provide a few words about Rotary. This event is proudly co-sponsored by the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, part of Rotary International, a worldwide service organization founded in 1905. Rotary's motto is service above self, and our club has been proudly serving the CBS and Paradise area for over 30 years. There are about 30 women and men in our Rotary group, and while we have been involved with dozens of service projects, we have been internationally recognized for 3 major projects: Topsail Beach Rotary Park, the Rotary Paradise Youth and Community Center, and the Manuels River Hibernia Interpretation Center, where our club holds our in-person meetings. Despite the pandemic, our Rotary group has been able to adapt and has continued to meet regularly via Zoom and in person when possible to support causes like the food bank and the CBS Community Gardens, and also to add a number of new members. If you're interested in helping to serve others in an atmosphere of fun and fellowship, you should consider joining the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast. Now for the rules for tonight's event. Tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum is not a debate. There will be no heckling, no crosstalk, no formal rebuttals. We will ask each candidate to be muted while I or the other candidates speak. The format of tonight's forum and the content of the questions were set by the 3 sponsor organizations without input from any candidate or political party. The candidates were all advised of the sponsor's choice of format, and each candidate was provided with the questions in advance. There will be 5-minute opening statements by each candidate, followed by 2 minutes each to answer each of the 3 questions on specific issues. The forum will end with 3 minutes each to provide a closing statement. The order of speaking for the opening statements was determined by a draw held before we went live on Facebook Live. I will rotate the order of speaking after that. I will be the timekeeper, and I will hold the candidates to their time limits within reason. In my discretion, I may allow a candidate to end a sentence or a thought rather than cutting them off unreasonably. I will hold my hand up during the final 30 seconds to let the speaker know that their time is almost up. Before the candidates begin with the opening statement, I want to thank each of the candidates for attending, and most importantly, to thank each of them for putting the name forward to serve you, the voters, in this election. Now we're ready to begin. Start with the opening statements. You each have 5 minutes for your opening statement. You may speak on any topic you wish, but this is intended to be your opportunity to introduce yourself, your party, and your leader, and to explain what you see are the key issues and challenges facing our province and your district, and to begin to answer the question, why should I vote for you and your party? At the draw previously held, it was determined that Mr. Gavin will speak first, Ms. Lynne Hammond will speak second, and Mr. David Brazel will speak last in the opening statement. Mr. Will, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Thank you very much, Ian. My name is Gavin Will, and I'm running for the NDP in Conception Bay East Bell Island. I want to thank the people of Paradise, Portugal Coast, St. Phillips, and Bell Island for tuning in to this unique event. Unique because, of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I especially want to thank the organizers of this forum, the Rotary Club, the CBS Chamber of Commerce, and Manuels River. I lived in the district since 1994. I've raised my family in Portugal Coast, St. Phillips, and I've worked in the community ever since. My background is in journalism, particularly business journalism. I specialized in the oil and gas industry and learned how critical this industry is to the economy of this province. In 2002, I founded Boulder Books. Since then, it's grown to become a leading book publisher in Atlantic Canada. In fact, we actually supplied books to the Manuels River Interpretation Center. In 2013, I was elected to the town council in Portugal Coast, St. Phillips. I had the pleasure of serving as deputy mayor and as chair of the finance committee. As finance chair, I listened to people's priorities and used what I heard to create budgets. I also had sidewalks built in the community and played a role in getting a new school built. I'm also active with the Lions Club and volunteer with the local food bank. During the COVID pandemic, I have seen firsthand how precarious life can be for some people, and a lot of people are falling behind. That's why I'm running for the NDP. Going door to door, I've listened to many people, and they are fearful for the future for them and their families. People such as a woman I met who had a good job in St. John's with health benefits, but who had to quit because of daycare costs. Her child has healthcare problems that cost her $500 a month, and it takes 2 part-time jobs to pay her expenses. Then last year, due to the COVID pandemic, she was laid off from one job and had her hours cut in the second. But her expenses, of course, have not been cut. She still has to pay $500 out of her own pocket for her child's medications. This is simply wrong, and that's why we need the NDP. I've been a New Democrat for much of my life, and I am proud to have worked with such great leaders as Jack Harris, Lorraine Michael, and now Alison Coffin. The NDP has a platform that's built for people. The NDP's priorities will reflect our belief that government should focus on those who need help the most. That's why our priorities include a dental care plan for seniors, reinstating the home heating rebate, and training and retaining healthcare professionals so that you can get the care you need when you need it. It all comes down to choices. What I've heard from people is that they're worried about the choices that Liberals and Conservatives will make. They're telling me that Andrew Furey called this election now because he intends to cut jobs and services if his government is re-elected. The people of this province need assurance that services will be there when they're needed. We need a government that will make the right choices. And you can count on the NDP to make the right choices, ones that benefit you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. Please mute yourself again. Next, we'll hear from Lynne Hammond. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Hammond, your Liberal candidate for Conception Bay East, Bell Island. For well over a decade, I worked in the government of Newfoundland and Labrador. My positions included particularly departments like
Sorry, Lynn, we're having a little issue with your audio. You might want to move closer to your screen.
Okay, does my time start again?
Keep going.
All right. So, for more than a decade, I worked with the government of Newfoundland and Labrador in senior policy and communications positions, the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs, Fire and Emergency Services, K-12 education, post-secondary education, executive council, Premier's office. It just seemed like every so many years I had a new job. But, it was often frustrating and works for the government of Newfoundland and Labrador, whether you're a frontline worker, or perhaps a teacher or others, you see ways that programs and services can be delivered better and smarter. And often you're told, you know what, that's not your job, or that's the way something's always been done. So that's the way we're going to keep doing it. For the last 8 years, I've worked as a consultant, both in the mining, oil and gas, and technology industries, all industries that we know are going to be very important to us in our economic recovery. Most recently, I've been vice president of a gold mining company that mines gold right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. But 2 years ago, I approached Andrew Furey because of my interest in running for politics. But I didn't want to just run with anyone or with any team. I wanted to make sure that I was going to run as part of a team who were ready to challenge the status quo, to deliver government services and programs differently, and to challenge the policies that have been in place forever. We know that often when policies are decided, there's a lot of people at that table, but not necessarily those who represent everyone. And so I bring my experience as a communicator, a collaborator, someone who has fought to ensure diversity in politics, to really encourage others to participate. And so that's something that I bring to the table. I think that going forward, we all have to work together collaboratively to get ahead of our economic crisis. And I'm very proud to be a part of Andrew Furey's Liberal team, who has a vision going forward. I will say I recognize that people do have concerns. They do have worries. I'm a parent of 3 teenagers. It's been a difficult year for me too. And, I feel for what people throughout Newfoundland and Labrador have had to deal with. I encourage you to consider voting for a party that has positive plans and not are just going to use scare tactics. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Finally, we'll hear an opening statement from Mr. Brazel. You're still on mute.
Oh,
Go ahead.
now,
There you
good.
go.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect. Thank you. Anyway, my name is David Brazel. For the last 10 years, I've been the member of the House of Assembly for the beautiful district of Conception Bay, East Bell Island, and I've had the opportunity to serve the people in many capacities within government. I first want to start off by thanking the organizers for giving us this opportunity, and to my opponents, welcome. And I thank you for throwing your hats in the ring. The democratic process is alive and well in the district of Conception Bay East, and we look forward to seeing the outcome on election day. But I want to know, I accept the fact that all of us are here to try to improve this district, improve the stake that the people of this district face, and to ensure that people have a better quality of life. I've been fortunate enough for the last 10 years to have many roles in trying to improve people's lives. And that's relevant to the fact that, in my previous life, I was a civil servant. I worked in the private sector. I worked in the not-for-profit sector. And I believe that gave me a true understanding of the challenges people face when it comes to, 1, believing in policy, 2, being able to encourage governments to put policies in play that work, and 3, feeling that they're part of the process and the decision making that's necessary for people to be represented properly. I've been fortunate that in my 10 years, I've managed to leverage $250 million worth of investments within the community that enhance education, enhance healthcare, enhance infrastructure, enhance employment, ensure that the most vulnerable are taken care of, and ensure that people have a better quality of life. There's been a multitude of challenges, no doubt, and there will continue to be. But the assets that I found has been working with so many well-positioned people. When I say well-positioned, those who are sincere about wanting to improve people's lives, and they come from every gamut of society, and their intent is to try to make sure that things are better now than they were in the past, and will be better in the future for the next generation. We've been very successful. We continue to move things forward. We have a platform as a PC party that's about creating employment so that we can stimulate the economy. So in turn, we can have the monies to invest in social programs that benefit people, to ensure that nobody's left behind in our society. I've been fortunate enough to also be in government in different portfolios as a minister, and get a true understanding of exactly what's needed for a government to be able to govern by representing the people and providing the services and policies that don't stifle people having access to services, but actually open up the doors and the dialogue to ensure that people have adequate access to what they need. I've always been an open-minded person, easy to access and easy to approach. I hope that has been one of the assets that people have seen in me in the last 4 elections when they've elected me. I hope they see that again. But I particularly want to thank all of those that I've worked with, all of those who put themselves forward at the municipal level, at a volunteer level, in the not-for-profit, those in the business sector. And I look forward to hopefully being able to continue that working relationship and continue to flourish this community and do the things that are necessary for the people of this great province of ours and this great district. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And thank you all. Now, on to the first question. On the question of the economy, the question, which is the same question for each candidate, is how will you, as the MHA for your district, and as a representative of your political party, work with your local municipal government, local businesses, and community groups to grow the local economy and improve the communities within your district? The first speaker we'll hear from is Ms. Hammond, and you have 2 minutes.
So, people have often said governments are responsible for creating jobs. We see other party platforms that are saying things like jobs, jobs, jobs. What we really know is that businesses create jobs, communities create jobs, entrepreneurs create. We have a vibe.
We're having difficulty with your audio again, Lynn.
Oh, I think it's because, all right. So we have a vibrant, the joy, the joys of technology. We have a vibrant, three really vibrant communities in this area. And, we need to make efforts to support the people who are really creating jobs, businesses, entrepreneurs, and communities. There's no lack of support and initiative and leaders here. But what is often faced, and I know I faced it as an entrepreneur, is the red tape in trying to actually get something started and then get something done. I have a lot of experience navigating government systems and programs, and that's a place that I can be especially helpful here. Because we all know that when you want to start something, there's an incredible,
30 seconds.
Okay. So we all know that, when you're trying to get something started, there's often a lot of obstacles, and you can certainly count on me to navigate government programs, systems, and red tape, that's for sure.
Thank you, Lynn. Mr. Brazel, you are next, sir. Same question for you.
Perfect, thank you. Our municipalities are a key component here to making the environment conducive so businesses in their communities can foster. We have announced in our Blue Book that we will have a venture capital fund that will explore working with municipalities and the business sector and the not-for-profit sector to ensure that they have access to those processes. One of the other things that we are proposing here is a new hire regime here, investment portfolio, which would include taking monies from new hires to invest back into businesses who've hired those individuals so that they can expand the products and the services that they provide. Again, we would have a very aggressive red tape reduction program because we understand anybody who's trying to work within the government system are slowed down and hindered because of the loopholes that prevent them from being able to actually move things in a equitable fashion. We know that municipalities, the business sector, and service organizations play a key role in cooperating among themselves. We would have open dialogue on a continuous basis and very frank discussions about the role government plays in first supporting, not regulating, but supporting the initiatives of business and the communities themselves to improve the lives within that particular area. The economy has to be driven from the grassroots. It has to be driven from the business sector. The investments that we would put forward as a government are support mechanisms. They're not control mechanisms. The business sector and the community sector are the ones who are best equipped to be able to move the economy forward. We should be stewards to ensure policies and procedures are in play to make sure people are doing it safely and competition is open and proudly done in Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brazel. Mr. Will, next question, same question for you.
Thank you, Ian. In my mind, there are two key factors to growing the local economy. One is infrastructure. This includes roads and sidewalks, public transit, Bell Island Ferry, schools, and recreation facilities. When it comes to infrastructure, communities in Conception Bay, East Bell Island have sadly been neglected by this provincial government. The latest 5-year roads plan, for example, completely excludes this district. even though Paradise and Portugal Coast St. Phillips are some of the fastest growing communities in Newfoundland and Labrador. Despite this growth, the condition of many provincial roads is unacceptable. You can't drive along major roads in our communities without dodging potholes. The Belle Island ferry situation is also unacceptable. People I've spoken to say that the system is unreliable, and as a result, people are leaving the island to live elsewhere. There are practical, low-cost solutions that could help. However, this Liberal government has completely ignored the situation. A second factor in growing the economy is setting priorities with community organizations. If elected, I will work with town councils, chambers of commerce, and volunteer organizations to establish and implement economic development plans for communities in our district. For example, farming has been identified as a strategic advantage for Portugal Coast St. Phillips. Belle Island has its mining heritage, and Paradise is expanding its recreational cultural opportunities that are so important for young families. As your MHA, I will help source government support for economic development. As Deputy Mayor of Portugal Coast St. Phillips, I sought input from the community, and I shall continue to do so as your MHA. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. On to the second question. It has to do with health and, of course, the elephant in the room, COVID-19. What do you believe are the biggest issues and challenges for your district regarding the provincial health system and the COVID-19 pandemic? And how will you, as the MHA for your district and as a representative of your political party, work to address these issues and challenges? We'll hear first from Mr. Brazel on this, and we have 2 minutes. You're on mute.
Good.
Yep.
One of the biggest district issues right now around healthcare is having access to a physician, a family physician. It's one of the big things that I'm hearing now from people within the district that has to be done. One of the things that we would do, we would put incentives within the School of Medicine to ensure that there are more students available and seats available, so that at the end of the day on graduation, incentives would be there for them to stay within the region and provide a healthcare service for the individuals here. When we talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the things we would do would reinstate the all-party committee, that it not only would be reinstated to have discussions, but would have meaningful discussion. That this would be an operational committee that would advise on policies and procedures and would be in open communications with the general public to ensure people are aware of what's happening. We would also fix the issue of all the pandemic PPEs that were eliminated to ensure that we have safe access for those in the healthcare profession. We would prioritize those most vulnerable and first responders to ensure that they have access to the vaccine. There's an opportunity here under the health process to ensure people have ongoing access to healthcare, but also in the case of a pandemic that we are prepared. We were prepared more 6 years ago than we were when this happened. And that's because of the neglect that happened within the Department of Health and the Minister of the day not being prepared and actually getting rid of the pandemic warehouse where we had stored over 4 million pieces of equipment that would have kept people safe. So in our case, ensuring that people have access to a family physician is key. The second thing is ensuring that we are prepared for any other obstacles that we run into in our healthcare system in the coming months.
Thank you, Mr. Brazel. Finally, we have Lynne Hammond for the Liberals on that question.
Thank you. I've also heard about the concern over family medicine, and it's something that's we're dealing with throughout the province. But I think that COVID-19 has really shown us the cracks in all of our systems, and healthcare included. And it's also allowed us to, or really forced us to have to deliver programs and services differently. For those of you who don't know, I have a disability. And so, I have to see my family doctor usually twice a month. During COVID, that just wasn't possible. And we've switched to telephone calls. For me, that's been an incredible positive change. And so, we need to, going forward, learn from the things that have happened during COVID and how we can make our system better. There's no doubt that our province has handled COVID-19 far better than most in the country. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Fury as our premier, Dr. Haggie as our Minister of Health. But even with two doctors, and probably because of two doctors, politics hasn't been a major part of the decision making. We've taken advice from the top epidemiologists, from Dr. Fitzgerald, and overall we've fared well. But I will say that one of the biggest challenges on COVID-19 has been communications. And while efforts were definitely made, particularly with groups like rotational workers and their families, we need to do a better job to explain how decisions are made, why they're made, and work with families to work going forward.
Thank you. Finally, Gavin, and I did take you out of order. I apologize for that. You have 2 minutes on that same question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I first want to acknowledge the dedication of healthcare workers, the doctors, nurses, personal care workers, custodians, support staff, and ambulance workers. These people are literally putting their lives on the line every day during the pandemic, just to ensure that the rest of us are safe. When talking with people at the door, healthcare is high on the list of their concerns. Yet the Liberal government ignored the findings of a recent report showing that there was a crisis in ambulance services here on the Northeast Avalon. They have no plan to solve this critical issue. And in 2018, they cut back services at a community health clinic in Portrush Cove, St. Philip's, and told people that was all right. They could go to a clinic on Higgins Line. Then in January this year, the Higgins Line clinic was cut. Patients must now go to the Health Sciences Center at a time when many people, particularly seniors and people with pre-existing conditions, are concerned about going to a crowded hospital during the pandemic. Equally troubling is a doctor and nursing shortage. Only a tiny percentage of medical school graduates choose to remain in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is simply wrong, but there are solutions. We urgently need a plan for the recruitment and retention of doctors, nurses, and personal care workers. In addition, community-based clinics are important. This is particularly true during the pandemic, when people are trying to avoid places such as hospitals where people gather in large numbers. We must also improve patient access, patient-to-worker ratios in hospitals and nursing homes. The NDP will introduce a dental care for seniors if elected, so that health problems that can result from not having proper dental care can be caught early. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. Finally, on to the third question, which has to deal with tourism. Tourism helps to preserve our cultural and natural assets and adds a tremendous value to the provincial and local economy. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has decimated the tourism industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, including your district, causing rising unemployment levels, business closures, and continued financial strain to tourism businesses and the people those businesses employ. What will you and your party do to support the tourism sector in the province and in your district to ensure its survival, recovery, and growth? And we'll hear first from Lynne Hammond on this question.
One of my first jobs was out of university was in the Department of Tourism, Culture and Recreation. And it was the year of Soiree 99, 50 years of Confederation. The Liberal platform recognizes that the tourism industry will be a pivotal part of our economic recovery, but we're definitely facing challenges in order to make that happen. Transportation to the province is absolutely an issue. But when we look at community-based the tourism sector, we need to ensure that the opportunities for future tourism are sustained. And government has a responsibility to help tourism operators, just like all businesses, learn how they can pivot and do things differently while the economy recovers. There's so much available in this district, from the fossils at Manuels River. I mean, Belle Island to me is a gold mine of tourism opportunities, from, the iron ore mines to the U-boat history to the cultural heritage. But of course, if you don't have a sustainable ferry service, those are going to be barriers as well. We have to support the infrastructure around tourism, and approach it with a comprehensive view that it's a core part of who we are. People are musicians, our arts community. People come to Newfoundland and Labrador for those things, and we have to sustain the people in our music and arts and other communities while we suffer through this last part of the pandemic.
Thank you, Lynn. Gavin Will, you're next.
Thank you. I'm the owner of a book publishing company that has published many field guides, hiking guides, and books of interest to tourists. Like many companies and workers involved in tourism, my company suffered significant loss of sales last spring and summer. Now, we were comparatively lucky because our company is focused on export sales. Unfortunately, many businesses, workers, artisans, and musicians do not have that option. Tourism will likely continue to suffer this year, and I fear many businesses will not survive unless governments at all levels support this industry. To get them over this difficult period, we need the federal government to continue supporting businesses and people who provide goods and services to the tourism sector. Support to people who would normally be employed in tourism-related businesses must also continue. If not, skilled workers may no longer be available when tourism opens up again. The industry also needs provincial government support. When the pandemic finally eases and it's safe for everyone, I expect people will be eager to travel once again. We must prepare for that now by heavily promoting Newfoundland and Labrador as an attractive destination. We already know that this province has beautiful scenery, wonderful attractions, and prior to the pandemic, tourism was a burgeoning industry. So let's use our advantages and promote our province as a place to visit once it is safe to do so.
Thank you, Gavin. Finally, Mr. Brazel.
Thank you. And for the last 25 years, I've worked very closely with the tourism industry, but a PC government here would look specifically at vacationing at home as one of our immediate things, because we have no idea where the pandemic is going to take us over the next 12 months. So we would do that through collaboration with the industry itself, with finding investments that enhance the industry itself. We would also implement an access strategy that would look at air access, Marine Atlantic, making it affordable, investing in our signage, investing in the infrastructure, investing in technology so that people would have more access internally and externally of the amenities that we have here in the tourist attractions itself. We would ensure that we would have a collaborative approach with all the industry stakeholders, and every lens that we would put on investments in government would also take into account what impact would it have on the tourism industry itself. So if we're doing something that talks about infrastructure, what impact could that potentially have on tourism, be it the attractions that we have in our own district? This district itself is a wealth of knowledge and attractions when it comes to, adventure tourism, to historic agricultural tourism, to all the other amenities that you would want in a tourism attraction. We have the infrastructure here. We need to improve it. We need to market it, and we need to develop those partnerships. And that's very easily done with the fact that we have Chamber of Commerce here, we have municipalities, we have heritage societies, we have tourism groups that are apt to do this and are committed to do it. So we're in a good place to do it in the district, Conception Bay, Belle Island. We just need all the partners to come on board, the provincial and federal governments, and all municipalities to do their part. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to the closing statements. You will each have 3 minutes for your closing statement. You may speak on any topic you like, but you should try to provide the answer to the question, again, why should I vote for you and your party? We will first hear from Mr. Brazel.
Thank you. It's been a very rewarding 10 years as a representative for the people of Conception Bay, East Belle Island. We've achieved a lot together. We've managed to get over some major milestones. We've managed to eliminate some real struggles and barriers that people had faced here for the business community, for the education community, for the healthcare community itself, for our infrastructure in water and sewer, for our recreation needs. While we've done some major things, there's still a lot left to do. And we've talked about improving healthcare. We've talked about seniors housing in our community. We talked about improvements to the ferry service, which are very easily done with shore-based management that would have been put in place had the government followed through on the recommendations that I left when I left as Minister of Transportation and Works. We've also getting to the stage of having an all-inclusive education community where we have a high school that would complete the continuum. So a kid that is born in this community can go from school, from kindergarten to grade 12 and be included in the community, be proud to represent his community in sports or in any kind of activity, cultural fairs and these type of things, because we have that continuum. We need seniors housing. We have an aging population. People who live there all their lives do not want to leave this community. We need to have the investment from government to ensure that that happens. And that's easily done by partnering with the private sector to ensure people have access to that. We had a very vibrant health clinic here that was taken out by this administration and still should be put in play. There is no economic savings by having people go to Majors Pat. The same number of staff need to work there. The difference is they now spend time traveling to Port Coast St. Phillips to provide those types of services that are necessary in any community. So we have an ability here to do what's needed. Take care of our most vulnerable, the seniors, improve our educational system, improve our healthcare system, make sure our infrastructure is in play, and we've made some major attractions for that. But also, all of these amenities do the benefit for the community because it enhances families to move to this community. It then drives the business community to provide other services and create employment. So we're in a real good place to do it. We just need to continue and finish the job that was started 10 years ago. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that with the people of this great district.
Thank you, David. Lynn, your closing statement.
Okay, so the question, why should people vote for me? Well, my first job was actually as a constituency assistant. And I think sometimes during elections, people forget that the first job of an MHA is to support constituents every day. So for me, I want to be there for the single parent who, is worried about how they're going to get a loaf of bread and gas and, the things that they need at the end of the work week. I want to be there for the elderly couple, the person who has to make a decision about whether or not they have to put their loved one in a long-term care facility. Government services still, while things are in place, often, the challenges for everyday people to navigate those systems and programs is just insurmountable. And so the job of an MHA is to help people navigate those things. I have experience in government. I have every confidence that the Liberal Party of Newfoundland and Labrador and the team that Andrew Furey has been able to put together shares the same values as I do, that we will work every day for the individuals of Newfoundland and Labrador to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to thrive and to be able to live life well and happy, and to be able to work and sustain their lives here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you, Lynn. Finally, we'll hear from Gavin. Gavin Will.
Thank you, Ian. Over the course of this election campaign, I've spoken with hundreds of people on their doorsteps. And what I've heard is deeply troubling. Single mothers living in drafty houses, unable to keep up with rising power bills. Seniors having to forego dental work or borrow money to pay for it. I've met workers who have lost their jobs and don't know where to turn. This is not the time for government to slash services or lay off even more workers we depend on to provide healthcare, education, highway maintenance, support to businesses, and many other services that we depend on. The NDP has its choices, and it's a plan for people. The Conservatives and Liberals, on the other hand, have made different choices. And I think we know what they are. The Conservatives chose to build the Muskrat Falls Power Project and ignored the warnings by many people that it was a boondoggle and would drive up power bills. Liberals have chosen not to present voters with the recommendations of the Dane Green Task Force before calling an election. If you were a skydiver, you'd make sure the parachute worked before making a jump. Yet Andrew Fury is asking people to jump to vote for his party before disclosing his intentions. The people of this province deserve better, and that's why I'm asking for your support on February the 13th. Thank you to my opponents. Thank you to the organizers of this forum, and especially thank you to the people on Conception Bay East, Bell Island for tuning in this evening.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you all. That ends tonight's forum. Again, on behalf of the three sponsor organizations, the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, and Manuels River, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to give special thanks to the candidates, Gavin Will, Lynn Hammond, and David Brazel, for participating in tonight's event. This event has been recorded and will be available for viewing. Let me remind you all that later tonight at 8:30 p.m., we will be holding a similar event on Facebook Live for the candidates in the Topsail Paradise District. And tomorrow night, we will have the candidates from Conception Bay South District at 6:30 p.m. and Harbor Main District at 8:45 p.m. Again, each forum will be recorded and will be available for viewing after the event. That's all for this evening. I'm Ian Patey from the Rotary Club of Avalon Northeast, and on behalf of Rotary, the Chamber, and Manuels River, say thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.